Hey there, thanks for tuning in to the video for this week. I'm thankful that you are here, and I'm also thankful that we've had some time to have Niners meetings on Wednesday night. If you haven't been able to check it out and come and join us on Wednesday night, we will have another one this coming Wednesday at 7 o'clock. It'll be a Zoom meeting. I'll be sending out information via text, and it will also appear on social media. If you're not following us on Instagram, follow us at Second Youth Indy, at Second Youth Indy, and what we're posting there is information about all of our weekly virtual meetings via Zoom. We typically are having them on Sunday mornings at 10. We won't be having one this week because of Easter, but we have them every Wednesday night as well for middle school, high school, and Niners. So check that out, and please follow us on Instagram. What we're going to be talking about is the Bible. I brought my big one here today. And we talked about the Bible earlier in the year, almost at the very beginning of the year, and set the stage for what it was that we'd be talking about throughout our Niners year together. And here toward the end of Niners, what I wanted to talk about is why would we read this text? I mean, this is a text that is at the earliest 2,000 years old. Some of the pieces that are in here date from 3,500 years ago. And so what is it about this text that would lead us to want to engage it in 2020? And what purpose does it have, and how can we do that? So that's what we're going to be talking about. And one of the things that I want to remind you of is what we did talk about in the very beginning of the year together. We talked about, in order to set the stage for what the Bible is, we needed to talk about what it's not. And so I wanted to remind you of those things. The Bible is not. It's not a history book. There is history contained in the Bible itself, but it doesn't claim to be a history book. It sometimes tells different approaches to the same exact event, different historical timelines for the exact same event. So it's not a history book. It's trying to tell a story. So we need to let that go. We need to not hold so tightly to the fact that we want it to tell history in the way that we understand history. Second, it's not a science book. This one is one that frustrates me sometimes, is that we expect it to tell us, for instance, how things began. Well, that's not the job of this text. It never pretends to be that kind of a text. It's not one that's going to explain the scientific details around how things started. So we need to let go of that expectation as well. It's not a textbook. It's not something like you would use in a classroom setting. It is used in classroom settings, and I find that to be fascinating because there's a lot that you can discover about the text by using it like that, but it's not meant to be a textbook. The fourth thing is that it's not actually a book at all. It's a collection of writings, and that's actually what we're looking at here. It's more of a library than a single book. And then the final thing is it's not the final word. God is still revealing God's self to humanity. And if we take this text and we make it the final word, it no longer has life. It is now dead and lifeless. God continues to engage with us through these words that jump off the page from this collection of writings. So we need to allow it to continue to live. We need to allow it to continue to speak. And the only way to do that is to engage the text. So now that we've got those knots out of the way, it's not a history book, it's not a science book, it's not a textbook, it's not actually a book at all, it's a collection of writings, and it's not the final word. We can talk a little bit about what it is. So this text is a book of faith, and that should allow all of us to take a big breath. That is what it claims to be. It's a book of faith. This text is written by inspired men and women of God. And what they're doing is they're writing about their own understanding of God. It's a conversation. It's how they understand who God is and their own journey, if you will, in discovering how God relates to them and how they relate to God. That's what this text is about. It is authoritative because of the God that's revealed inside the text. It's not authoritative on its own. It's only authoritative because of the God that's revealed there and because of its consistent message. There's a consistent message that flows throughout this text, and it is a message of grace, of mercy, of justice, of hope, of love, of forgiveness, And all of those messages will never fail us. So that's what's contained in this text. So it's a book of faith, and that should give us a chance to take a deep breath. It's a book that's inspired. The men and women who wrote this text were inspired about their relationship with God, how they understood God and who God was in the world. It's authoritative for us because of the God who is revealed there, and also because of the history of the way that this text has been engaged in our faith communities, and that it's consistent message of grace and hope and love. So those things are what this text is. So here's what I would like for you to do. I would like for you to take a look at our webpage and check out the 2 different exercises for reading scripture that are included there. One of them is called Lectio Divina, and that is a way in which people approach the text. It's a way to read the text and allow the words from that text to kind of sit with you in a really creative way. The second one is called Bible Blackout or Bible Markout, and this is a way to engage your creativity. And for those of you who like art and like to draw or like to paint or like to color, this one's for you. It's a way to engage the text and see what the text is saying to you. The reality of this text is that it's going to engage us in a different way in different times. And it's going to speak differently to us, and depending on where we are. We can't help but bring our own lens to the text as we are reading it. It's impossible to suspend that. We can become aware of what it is that we bring to the text, but we need to allow the text to ask us questions back. That's the way that we're going to grow, and that's the way that we're going to get challenged from reading this text. I'm excited for you to take a look at the 2 different reading exercises that we've got. I think it might open it up a little bit to you. So many people are intimidated by the text itself, and I understand that. Sometimes it's difficult to read. It's hard to comprehend because the setting is so different. And here's what I would encourage you to do. We have to allow this text to speak from its own original context. Most Bibles that we have some kind of a description about the setting into which the text itself was written. It's really helpful to read that, to get a little bit of background, and to let the Bible be free. We have to loosen our grip on it. One theologian said, if we are asked, do we believe in the Bible? Our real response should be, no, I don't believe in the Bible. I believe in the God to whom the Bible points, if that makes sense. And that's why the Bible is authoritative for us. So have fun engaging these exercises that we have set aside for you. Enjoy it. I hope it asks you some questions about yourself. And they are exercises that you can use with any text in the entire corpus of Scripture, the entire body of Scripture. There are 2 set aside specifically for these 2 exercises that are the handouts that we have linked on the Niners page. But again, you can use them with any text that you'd like. I appreciate you. I thank you. Give it a chance. I promise you that you will find some encouragement as you go if you can engage the text creatively. Be at peace, and remember these 3 things. You are loved, you are enough, and you are not alone. Thank you. And I hope to see you Wednesday night for Niners at 7 o'clock. Take care. Bye.